I want to welcome everybody to the first recording of the Patriotic Dragon Radio Show, sponsored by Rocco's Pub and Grill and co-sponsored by the Pickens County GOP. This is our panel this week consists of Bill Cagle, Stephen Hall, David Leister, and myself, William Bell. Matt Youngblood is handling the systems. So, first off, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. And what the idea of this show is, we want to bring to the forefront an honest, open conversation about issues, whether they be local, state level, or on the nation and the world, and bring together ideas and a place for people to come and talk about things in that format. Topics that we want to start with tonight, we'll start with Mr. Hall over there in the front corner.
Yes, sir.
All right, on the local issues, first thing I really want to talk about is the economy in Pickens and North Georgia, and where do we go from here? So
we're opening it up, okay? Well, it's funny that you bring this up because I was doing my research and whatnot, and I was going back and taking a look at a photo not too long ago that was in the Pickens Progress, and it was Main Street back in the 50s, and I think we have this image in our head of iconic Main Street, of store lines lined up along this main corridor, and you have everything from the general store to your bank, and we've evolved from that. I think today Pickens County, Jasper specifically, has transitioned. It certainly has helped with the interstate out here. Thus, you're seeing Walmart, your big box stores coming in. So I think that's a huge thing, and it's a huge transition. So if you are one of those individuals that grew up in the 1950s and that's what you knew and experienced, this new kind of landscape might be shocking to you, and it might take some time to get readjusted and so on and so forth. What, anybody got anything to add to that?
Well, I think that what you're saying is true. The natural progression over the last 25 years of a lot of small towns has been somewhat dying down in the downtown areas, but now you drive around the state, which I have the privilege of doing in my job. You're seeing a revitalization in downtown. Just some of our neighboring towns nearby, such as Blue Ridge. 10 years ago, Blue Ridge was really nothing going on downtown. Now it's vital, it's vibrant, a lot of specialty shops and restaurants and boutiques and so forth. LJ is starting to look like they're coming back from their downtown area. So I think hopefully Jasper will follow that trend, even though Jasper really never did, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, let's say die down. It's always been the heart of Pickens County that Main Street has. So hopefully we won't experience the migration per se or moving out of downtown, but we'll just become steady and then revitalize even more. Mm-hmm. One thing that the shop local I think helps. You talk to more and more people here in the county. They're trying to do business here where they can with the local merchants, because used to. You might be able to save a few dollars if you went to Marietta or whatever, but that's not the case anymore because of the internet and technology and convenience of the interstate. Things cost the same here, and in a lot of cases cheaper than it does somewhere else. So.
Right. Yeah, I think the one thing that we probably should do and could do a better job of is, as you point out, Stephen, we've got this interstate or state highway passing through the center of our county. And we have the Jasper Business Association. We have the Chamber of Commerce. And, I'm not big on digital signs, but I don't know why we don't have a big flashing sign south of 53 saying, turn right, come see Americana. That And that's where I think we need to coordinate everybody in the county, and we capture that business off of that state highway. Because I'm fortunate like Bill is, I get to travel around the state. You go through Tifton, you go through Albany, and that's what they've done is they've rebuilt those downtown areas. That's where the nice restaurants are. That's where at 5 o'clock it used to clear out. Now it piles up. Everybody goes to downtown. But it takes that group effort to get it and pull those people off. I know a lot of people that drive down from LOJ and Blue Ridge that stop in on Sunday night to eat here. And we'd get other restaurants and everything if we pulled people off the highway. So I think we need to get the parties that, quote, are representing the county and the business section to work on it together.
So did we more or less say some of the two big variables for interstate and internet in this case?
Well, yeah, and if you
and maybe do some type of internet campaign to promote Jasper and Pickens County. I mean, my wife and I, for the last 20 plus years, have been talking about it'd be nice if Jasper, Pickens County could do something to promote tourism. When you hear Dahlonega, first thing that pops in your mind is gold. Well, they haven't mined gold in Dahlonega in 130 years.
Yeah, really.
We're still mining marble here and the marble capital. If we could capitalize on the marble industry some way to promote it, to promote tourism. Dahlonega people come in on Thursdays. Their downtown area is vibrant. There's all kinds of stuff going on almost every weekend when the weather permitting. They come in Thursday night, stay in their hotels, eat in the restaurants, shop in their stores, go to the theaters and what have you. They leave Sunday afternoon. They spend their money and they leave.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, is what I think it would be an ideal environment for if we could create that atmosphere here. Yeah. And the interstate and the internet are two ways to help.
Absolutely.
As Will was saying, I mean, that's,
free advertisement.
Absolutely.
And the interstate, I think it came into Pickens about 1985.
Yeah.
And that's when it really split the county. To the east, you have most of the new people. To the west, you have the old families. And there's conflict in that. Being a new person, I understand it, but the road did a lot. Number one, when it came through, it went by Ball Ground, it came up by Jasper, and it cut Nelson off the map. Mm-hmm. Nelson has been dwindling ever since then. Talking Rock was also pushed aside. So your development areas from that perspective has been Ball Ground and Jasper. And the small towns were left on their own. Now Nelson is a bedroom community. Talking Rock is a bedroom community. There's very little enterprise in either of those. And we have just by that interstate defined our commercial district. And we don't have to and should not develop over in the west. That should stay what I consider pristine.
Yeah.
That's real country. Mm-hmm. And everything that's been built up in the east, well, there's still a lot of country in the east too.
Yeah.
We need to maintain our county culture, in my opinion. But by thinking through the development so that we have jobs to keep people here, so that our kids don't leave and go someplace else, and we have revenue. We don't want to keep taxing the rooftops in order to survive, or taxing the seniors. We need to have enough economic development to pay for everything we want.
I agree wholeheartedly. When the county was created back in the 1850s, between South Gilmer and North Cherokee County, I can't prove this, and I'm not even going to try to prove, but this is an opinion that I have. The Gilmer and Cherokee knew that, we're not going to give up our water resources.
Oh, yeah.
It's sad on one hand that the largest body of water is Cove Creek or Long Swamp Creek on Cove Road.
Yeah.
That's solely
in the whole county, yes.
And so we are limited by industry that can come here. But that's not to say that these little business parks that we have can't that employ 10, 20, 30 people, 50 people, can't become thriving industrial parks.
All right.
So
Yeah.
So is this a matter of is this? I'm periscoping this as we're on live on the air. So
Okay.
Everybody say hello to my periscope.
Howdy.
That's right. See, I tried to do a very good job of incorporating a lot of new media here. So if you notice that, be aware of that. But is this not a question of rural versus urban and urban sprawl, and how do we affect that? Because if you look at Cobb County and Cherokee County, they're growing like gangbusters. Are municipalities like Nelson and Ball Ground and Jasper, are they next?
Well, I think really what we have to do is think through that as David said, that countryside. You can maintain that, but what people and businesses you invite to come to your county and solicit, you can drive what type of clientele you bring to it. Do we want a big plastics factory? Probably not. But I'll take 10 bed and breakfast and let them go look at leaves and ride horses in the west end of the county and go four-wheeling. There's plenty of places in the distance we could do that, and those are the type of businesses we should be pulling in and getting to come look at us. And we don't have anybody doing that. We get together once a month for breakfast, and we consider a business of the month that's been here for 20 years. Great. How about some new businesses that we don't have here? That's where we should be focused on, is entice them and bring those people in. Say, hey, come and look at the beauty of our county and what we offer.
I agree. I mean, that goes back to the tourism part. I mean, they come in Thursday, Friday, they leave Sunday, they spend their money, they go home.
Yeah.
They come up for a nice weekend, go up to Amicalola Falls, they go to Talking Rock, they, do their sightseeing and go hike some of the new trails here. And
If they need a new cooler, they run by Walmart.
absolutely. And, they spend their money and they leave. Granted, that will, again, we can't, as far as urban sprawl, we don't have the infrastructure for urban sprawl. Now, can we become a bedroom community? Yeah, I mean, we are now.
Yeah.
Are we going to be more than likely a retirement haven? Yeah.
Yeah, which is
But,
okay.
but again, that's quality growth that you either have to grow or you die. It's one of the two.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, let me introduce a new variable into this. How about the Port Royal project? Bartow County has seen a lot of growth with the Lake Point project over there. Is the Port Royal project going to be that staple in our community, or something else?
Something like that. I don't believe that Port Royal will ever happen here. I
don't think
think
it'll
they've
happen
already
either.
moved on to other greener pasture that was more amiable to what they were trying to do. But something like that is ideal because, as David said, and I said a couple of years ago when it first came up, the idea of having an industry like a resort that could have supply warehouses in our county and hire our kids out of the technical school to be maintenance people and lifeguards and culinary art people, why would I not want something like that in my community?
That's right.
And, that create jobs that are sustainable long-term jobs. You don't spend $20 million to build a resort or a hotel and leave. You're committed to the community. And that's what we need, is businesses that are committed to the community.
And by the way, the Port Royal project was that big hotel resort
Water park.
water park. Yeah, thank you. That was I think slated to come here, and I think
It's been on again, off again.
I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be happy if it happens. Yeah.
All right.
All right. All right. There's enough on that. And next thing I wanted to talk about locally is something I think is near and dear to all of our hearts, whether we got kids in school now or leaving school or starting school. Education in Pickens. Are we on the right track for our kids' future? And what brought that up is I actually had a meeting with the principal of the high school, and he was telling me that he had brought in 16 new AP teachers for this school year, which my daughter was fortunate to work hard and go through all AP classes her 4 years at the high school, and it served her well to get scholarships for college and that type of thing. But are we doing the right thing as far as the elementary, the middle school, and the high school level? We've got an event coming September 17th where Richard Woods, the state school superintendent, is coming in to discuss Common Core. And that's a big subject and a big topic for a lot of people, that some people like it and some people don't. I don't know if there's values, good or bad. I'm sure there are. And, I think it's probably for somebody more well-versed in the subject than I am. But overall education is the key to freedom. And I think we need to know that we're doing the right thing to help our children develop the skills to determine their own freedoms. So, yeah.
Well, I'd like to speak to that because I have 4 children. 2 of them live in Pickens County. They're 14 and 12. And having hosted foreign exchange students and being able to compare their knowledge, their education, to what my children had and understand, we're in deep cotton, okay? Because our children are being taught to the lowest denominator, not because of the teachers. The teachers want to really reach out, and they go above and beyond what the minimum requirement is by the government. The problem is that we're being dictated to by Washington. Okay, our local school systems aren't local anymore. In order to get money to operate the schools, you have to toe the party line, whatever that party is. And we're not getting an education. The kids that came in my home that were 15 and 16 were performing at the levels of seniors and freshman college. They give our kids topics to learn so that they can pass a test, but they do not teach them how to think. And that's it. There's no analytic structure to the way it's taught. Even my older children, who are 24 and 25, they've made a point to say that what their brother and sister is being taught is something they learned 2 grades prior when they were young, and it's only a 10-year difference.
10-year difference. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, we need
when you
to
lose 2 years of ground in 10 years.
Exactly.
And that's the way you got to look at it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we need to put the education system back into the hands of the local educators and the taxing to do it. Okay, we're hiring 16 more teachers, AP teachers.
AP teachers, yeah.
Okay, great. That's great. But what are they going to be allowed to teach? I mean, what is the standard?
Whatever they're told.
Right. How are they going to be evaluated at the end of the year? Is it going to be by how well they taught or what grades they were able to get those children to make on these lowered testings?
Right.
And so I'm done.
Well, my kids don't go to school here. They go to a private school. So they're not really affected. But I have a lot of friends and relatives that kids go to school here, and what you're saying is absolutely true. You talk to friends that are involved, that are teaching, they can't do their job because of the bureaucracy and discipline. They can't really discipline kids now like they could when we were in school. Mm-hmm. That's a problem. Getting Washington out of the way, whether it's Common Core, No Child Left Behind, whatever. Every child's being left behind, in my opinion, from hearing discussions from friends that are veteran teachers, and they're very disgruntled. They're very fed up. They're 20, 25-year veterans, and they're just counting the days to 30 years. I mean, that's what they got their sights set on. Which is, there's nothing wrong with that per se, but if that's your primary goal is to get your 30 years in because you're just tired of fighting the system.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the answer is other than getting our states to pull together, but then again, they're Washington's holding your hand with the money. What do you do?
Right.
Let me introduce this on the side. Everybody can watch and see a little bit. Let me introduce a variable to this that I thought was intriguing the first time I heard it. In the 1930s, we had hundreds of thousands of public elementary schools. Today we're down to thousands of public elementary schools. And so our teachers, we can talk about things like Common Core and this and that, and those are very important things, without a doubt. But if we're going to be talking about things like how our teachers teach one-on-one with our students, well, how about we look back at making sure that our schools are local? Have you ever driven past one of those complexes in Alpharetta?
Oh yeah, Milton High School looks like a community college.
Correct.
It's scary. Yeah,
And that's I think what we may be missing is not the one-room schoolhouses anymore. But possibly, if we're wanting the teachers to get that one-on-one or really close to it, and of course there are studies out there that certainly show that that doesn't work. It's not necessary. That one-on-one is only a fantasy. You can teach to 600,000 kids, as any college professor that teaching a one-on-one class can do.
Well, the difference there is those kids want to be in college versus mandating having to be in school.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
But again, going back to the point, I think that that since we've seen a decline, a drastic decline, since the 1930s, and we've gone to and we've celebrated this idea of merging schools. We've seen it through our K through 12 system, all the way up through our colleges.
Yeah.
We're missing out on that core value of those teachers coming in and teaching one-on-one, and it's stressing for the teachers.
Oh yeah. When a teacher has the option to teach 16 students in a class for 50 minutes versus 25, that difference in that student count makes all the difference in the world. Because as I go around, even with the technical schools, they're trying to get class size to that 24, 25 max, and the instructor can't do his job. It's virtually impossible. And if one or two students do have questions, they can blow 20 minutes, and then you're down to 30 minutes of actual curriculum taught. So, yeah, the smaller class size would definitely be a direction to go as a good start. So.
But it's not politically correct, because again we're talking about
success
saving money here. Yeah.
Success.
Well, then
normally
you're also
isn't
talking about
political.
teacher unions too, being an obstacle.
Right. Yeah. But if you paid teachers based on the merit versus just the time spent in the classroom, they'd probably invest more. Yeah. So. All right. Anything we want to add to that subject? That's something I think we need to, and look forward to, Richard Woods being in the county and talking about Common Core on the 17th.
Well, one other comment. It's not necessarily about Pickens County, but one thing that I think that, years ago, probably 15, 20 years ago, really this big push, really since, I guess, Hope Scholarship, going to college. Well, let's face it, not every person is cut out for college. There are a lot of blue-collar, high-paying jobs that companies are trying to fill. If you can fix things, weld, whatever, machinist, that's kind of somewhat moderate to high-tech, there's a lot of high-paying, close to six-figure jobs out there that
are going unfilled.
Yeah. So focusing on furthering your education, let that include, yes, a bachelor's degree or master's degree, that's fine and dandy, but also a technical degree.
Right.
I mean, we've got a great school here in Pickens County. I still call it Pickens Tech half the time.
Yeah.
Chattahoochee
mergers.
Chattahoochee Tech. Yeah. It's a good school.
How many of our listeners actually remember that?
Exactly. Well, I'm a native, so that is another way to help maybe attract businesses, small manufacturing and high tech, blue collar type. Companies.
Yeah. To that point, I remember looking a couple of years ago as I really started trying to get involved more with the community and joined the Chamber of Commerce. And one of the first times I looked at it, I made the comment the next meeting. I said, it'd be great if we updated the stats on our website for the chamber but after 2010. They still had 2010 graduation rates and everything on the website, and that was like 2013. Yeah. So, having current information when a company comes to look at you is a good idea. So,
well, I know we probably need to wrap this up, but give those dates out again for.
It's September 17th at Pickens High School, 6 p.m. Richard Woods, State School Superintendent, will be in for a presentation on Common Core.
Awesome. And where can they go to find out more information?
The Pickens County GOP website, and also the Pickens Progress. So,
awesome.
All right.
And Facebook.
Yes, Facebook. And may I add a point of disclosure here? We are with the Pickens County GOP Republican Party. If you don't know your acronyms, but David, I want to thank you for updating that the 2014. That was a fantastic year.
But it's a new year.
You're welcome. Well, I'd like to say one last thing about the skills that Pickens County has. See, we have intelligent people who can build anything, fix anything. The problem is we don't have the base, bringing those small businesses in. We don't need the big business. We need a small factory, 30, 40, 50 people, where our people can go in and do that work. But a lot of that depends on who we have in the State House. We have a terrible national economy. Our state economy is doing, I think, better than the national.
Right.
Yeah. But we need to keep building that. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if you have a master's degree or anything. If we can do the work, give it to us. Quit sending it out of the country.
Right.
So,
absolutely. Yep.
Sorry.
All right. Okay. I don't know if we want to jump into the state issues, but I want to move something to at least start the conversation about the SEC primary. For those that aren't sure what that is, that maybe listen to us, the Southeastern Conference acronym is designed for the primaries for the presidential race that's coming up, and the Southeast attorneys generals all joined together, secretaries of state, to get us the southern states on the front end of that primary season. Do you feel like it's good for Georgia, and what do you think the benefits will be to us and to the rest of the nation as far as the Republican and Democratic candidates that'll be running?
Well, I prefer it to be the ACC because I'm a Georgia Tech fan. But, that's neither here nor there. I think it's good. It keeps the name of the state in forefront. I mean, I don't know what huge benefit it's going to bring other than just keeping your name at the forefront. I'm kind of neutral on the matter, really. I mean, it's great, but it wouldn't hurt my feelings if we didn't have it either. So
right, but it does bring the money from the two political parties into the state.
Right.
They want to be seen, they want to be heard, so they come, they bring their teams, they spend their money here. It does give a little boost to the economy,
Sure.
But other than that, like you, who cares?
Yeah,
I think if you step back from it, other than those two things, what you'll see is the attention that our issues in the Southeast get. Because if I'm going to Iowa first and then New Hampshire and then Nevada, I'm going to look at those issues. So when I'm there talking about and I'm in front of a camera, that's the issues I'm going to talk about. But if I'm talking about Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee, I'm going to look at, say, the water wars. I'm going to look at immigration in Florida. And if I've got 15 people who are looking for my vote, those issues that are most important to me and my southeastern, citizens, hopefully that will bring those to the forefront sooner in the election cycle instead of a back burner. And when you've got 5 or 6 states that are that close together, you can't avoid those issues. If you get on a plane, you're flying state to state, you don't have to worry about CNN following you everywhere you go. And here, they're going to have, that van's going to be behind their bus every state they go in the Southeast. And
That's true.
Yeah.
And I would tend to agree with you, Will, on that. I love the fact that that the South, not the Confederacy, the South.
Well,
Just want to make a very big distinction here.
The Southeast. Yeah. Always refers to Southeast.
We're actually being looked at again as a hub, and for the longest time you would talk about what issues matter to Ohioans or
Wisconsin, Michigan,
or
cheese.
a lot of those. And that's fine. That's great. But not too long ago, and the Supreme Court's going to probably still be looking at this, and there's a huge civil rights movement behind this, is just the idea to try to move your election headquarters across the street in the South. For the longest time,
You weren't allowed.
that was a big no.
Yeah, right.
So I think by doing this, we become closer to being a part of that conversation. Closer to what? I'm not really sure. But I do know this. At least we're involved. And on top of that, if you are John Smith out in the backwoods of North Georgia here, and you have a rally in, say, Woodstock or Canton or wherever, pretty close by, that gives you, John Smith, the ability to hear those candidates and to be able to get closer to them for the first time. And if we're talking about, thus far we've covered things like education and things like business in our community. If we're talking about those things,
right?
I want those guys here. And I want those guys talking about what matters to John Smith, who does live in the backwoods of North Georgia.
Yeah, like I say, it keeps the name up in the front pages and all that. So.
And the fact that to see somebody like Donald Trump come through.
Well, and
By the way, for all of those who are watching, I am not a Trump supporter. I just want to make that disclosure. Okay. We do have some that are apparently are. Yeah. Wave. Yeah. Okay. But I will say this finally. At least we're having these conversations, and I do like all of these candidates coming through, whether they be Trump or not.
I think we've got. It doesn't really matter to me at this point which one becomes president or VP. We've got enough qualified people to fill the cabinet.
Yes.
We don't need to leave we can fill every stage from every office from that one stage. We got qualified people across the board, which is first time in 50 years.
And to see maybe some of these guys coming through and going to a Marvel Festival once upon a time.
Hey, you never can tell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody like a Ted Cruz eating a corn dog at the Marvel Festival.
Yep, that's it.
Or eating a fried pie. Come on.
Yeah. All right. Okay, good deal. Now, last thing I do want to bring up, and we want to touch on it this week, and then we're definitely going to cover it more in depth in other shows on a national issue, is immigration. We hear a lot about it. What should we do with the borders? And that's what I want to focus on in this conversation, is not the overall, but just what should we do on our borders? And me having the benefit of being married to a Canadian who is a U.S. resident alien and has to, redo her immigration stuff every 2 years. I have to have a passport to go visit her family, but I can go to Juarez and they can come back and forth, and, it's a whole different subject. For me, the border needs to be secured. End all. No conversation beyond that is worth having as far as I'm concerned, because any other country that is a legitimate country, if you sneak into Juarez and they find you, they arrest you, they handcuff you, and they deport you after they take all your stuff. But here, we give them a court date 90 days out and we never see them again.
Well, we give them enough money to live on.
Right.
Well,
During the 90 days.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's my feeling on the borders. Close them. Close the borders
Absolutely.
first, foremost. We've got plenty of technology and people to do it, and it would eliminate the next wave. And
I
then we
agree.
deal with the people that are here.
Well, it was supposed to have happened back in, 85,
Something.
6, something, which it never did happen. Government is famous for making all these grandiose promises for things that should have teeth to them, but They really don't. So what's to say in another? We come up with. I love the term comprehensive immigration. We've got immigration laws now. Enforce the blooming things.
That's it.
All right. So what's to say that okay, we come up with a new comprehensive plan. We're not sitting here 20, 30, 40 years from now where our kids and grandkids aren't sitting here facing the same thing if we even have an America like as we know it today.
Right.
So, of course, I know that the left is going to be up in arms, and I love how they redefine definitions, calling you racist, and all, even though most of them can't even define what a racist is, but by saying you're against immigration. I don't care if they're Canadian, Asian, Hispanic, Australian, whatever, European, any European country. There's a thing called legal immigration.
Yeah. There's no other civilized country that allows the illegal immigration the way we do.
The difference is that we are a compassionate people as a whole. We are a compassionate nation. We're a giving nation to a fault. Whenever there's a world catastrophe, who's the first one there?
America.
The United States. Which I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm proud to say that. But, there was no immigration, very little immigration allowed from the 1920s until through the 60 or 2 or whatever it was, over 50 years ago. And thanks to Ted Kennedy.
Yeah.
Hiccups included.
Yeah, hiccup included. That all changed. And again, so we dealt with it back in the 60s, we dealt with it in the 80s. Now we're dealing in the 2000 teens.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to have to worry about it, or my grandkids to have to worry about it.
Well, could I speak to your definition stream there?
Absolutely.
I'll say liberals rather than left because there's liberals in both parties.
Oh, yeah.
And they define all of these needy people as minorities.
Right.
Well, 90%-ish of the population of the world can come under that umbrella of minority. So really, we tend to be the minority, but we're a giving people. Now, it's not just America. It's Western civilization.
That's right.
Because Europe is going through the same thing,
Good point.
where all the African people are going up into Europe in swarms. I mean, it's the Arabs, the Syrians, all the North African people are going there because they think they can get a job and have a better life.
Which you can't blame them for that.
No, because they're people. It doesn't change who they are.
That's right.
But
there's a process.
There's a process, and you have to look at your economy. You have to look at what you can sustain. Everybody's all about sustainable earth. Yeah. What about sustainable culture?
Yes.
If you have a flood of hundreds of thousands of people who aren't from your culture, and they are demanding things change in your country to accommodate their wants and needs,
they're not willing to assimilate like they did from Europe back in the turn of the century. They're not assimilating. They want their own culture, their own neighborhoods, their own
language,
their own flag, their own whatever. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be Americans. To me, that's what rubs me the wrong way.
Or Europeans.
Right,
it's all Western. It's not just us.
Right.
But we're looking at our country because we are almost the entire North American continent. There's 3 countries where in Europe they have so many different countries.
Right.
But we're losing the battle. We're falling under this cloud of apathy. Oh, well, we can't really do anything. The government's in charge. Well, we are the government, and we need to remember Clint Eastwood. All right? We own this country. It's time we start acting like it, and the people we send to Washington and to the State House need to start fearing us. And they don't fear us because they speak to us like we're fools.
And that is why Trump is as popular as he is right now.
Right.
Is he my ideal candidate? No, but he's bringing issues to the forefront. He's bringing them to the table where the establishment, like Jeb Bush, Lindsey Graham, and those other liberal, I'll refrain, they would not be talking about it had it not be for the people like Cruz, Trump, and Ben Carson. Of course, Ben Carson, he can tell you to go take a long walk in a short pier and make you look forward to the trip. He is such a articulate and elegant in the way he presents it. But I mean, he's just so. Those three there, and Carly Fiorina's another one. She's. If she keeps going, those are my first four candidates, not in that order, but
the more they speak out and people hear their true conversation, the more they realize how articulate, how intelligent, and how not talking down.
they're not talking down to us.
Yeah, and that's what we need.
Let me get to or introduce something I went to not too long ago at the campus of Kennesaw State University. Shout out to Go Owls. I got some chocolate. Anybody in Owls?
That's
fan?
my alma mater too. That's where I graduated.
Hoorah.
They're gonna play Sprayberry this week, or I can't remember who it is.
Agnes Scott.
Agnes Scott. Something.
East Tennessee University. Thank you very much.
Sorry about the loss.
Anyways, so they not too long ago had a representative come out and introduce what they called Freedom University. I don't know if anybody has heard about it before. You've heard?
I've just heard.
Anyways,
of it.
so long story short, Freedom University is a collective body of freewheeling professors and students that get together, undocumented workers, aliens. What other words do we use? I want to make sure that
unidentified
illegals. Yes, but so they had a panel, if you will, of 2 or 3 individuals, and then there was the professor there who was talking about her will and what she's doing to make sure that these undocumented students were getting the best education they possibly could. And that's fine. Sure, go ahead, do that on your own dime. But what I found interesting is that they were telling these heartfelt stories about how their parents got here and what their struggles were. So a lot of the people in the group were getting passionate, and that's what this group was striving for, was passion. And I'm a true believer of passion versus reason, and there's a line and a distinction. As a political scientist, I try to find that very clearly. Sometimes it's vague, but I try to find that. But to add to that, I was recently talking to someone about their experience on the border. And they had gone down and gotten an in-depth look at what was going on. And one of the things that they had come back with was the idea that you just don't come to this country because there's a love to. There's a passion to. You get over into this country because there's someone to get you across the border. And you pay lots of money to do this, but you pay it to lots of people who do a lot of bad things.
Illegal things.
The cartels run the border.
Yep.
So no matter how passionate, how loving, tax-paying citizen you want and think you are, you must go through them because they control it.
Yeah.
There is no, you want to go on your own? There is none of that.
Yeah.
Now, maybe back in the day, a long time ago, when the idea first started, there was those few citizens who did it on their own. But the tendencies are that they have to come through the cartels' direction.
Right.
And those cartels, they're the bad guys. They're the ones that the United States government is fighting off, the crime, the drugs, the rape, all of that stuff you hear.
Right.
But what you don't hear is that those same citizens who want to do very good things and honest things, they can't because of them.
The cartel.
Right.
And so I want to make that distinction very clear, that you may come here with honest intentions, but those intentions are tainted.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not as smart as a lot of the other people here. You're saying because these people want to illegally come into our country, they have to deal with criminals in order to commit the crime of coming into our country illegally. And that somehow is supposed to make me empathetic to their plight?
No. It's not empathetic or empathy at all that I want you to feel.
Good. Good.
I want you to actually gain a sense that the story of empathy that you typically come away with is tainted by the pure fact that there are these cartels making money off of people that...
Look, I apologize for interrupting. Forgive me, but the cartels aren't up here pushing that stuff at us. Who is actually standing up in front of American citizens saying, "Oh, look, this poor person had it so hard and we should feel sorry for him"? Who's saying that? The cartels aren't here.
Actually, our president of the United States, I think, has come out in empathy for
somebody credible.
Somebody's got some
I think a lot of the politicians have. And you're talking about, my original story was going back to Freedom University. Mm-hmm. This idea that you had professors giving up their time, volunteering their time to be able to do this. But
we're a nation of laws, not a nation of feelings.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're both agreeing on this.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm misreading what you're saying, that the desire to come here, that because they have to go through the cartels, is tainted because in order to do that, are you saying that they have to perform illegal acts in order to get the approval from the cartels? They may have want to come here with...
Let me put it this way. So you have individuals that go out there and saying, I am a tax-paying, outstanding, very good citizen in the community, blah, blah, XYZ. But the fact of the matter is that you've broken the law.
Right.
Somewhere, some way, somehow, and you started with the cartels. That's all I'm saying. So you can't tell me that your money...
The end does not justify the means.
You can't tell me that your money to get across the border didn't go to fund the cartels.
Right.
To go to fund to bring across the drugs and the crime that get here into our nation.
So we should have Freedom University and have it taught in Juarez.
Well, one would think.
I know some professors that probably should go there this summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, they do teach, typically at your tax-paying dollars, though.
That's okay.
The ironic thing is, if the liberals got their way to turn this into a, whatever their goal is, a less than America that we know it, in another 50 years... then America is going to become just like these other countries that they're running away from now. So, all in order to buy votes, you're willing to, and of course, I'm sure that's driving a lot of the left or liberals crazy for me saying that, which I hope so. I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
You know, if you keep going down this path we're going in, I mean, we're already at the breaking point to where, or near the tipping point, where more people are drawing than contributing in to the system. Mm-hmm. You know, back when Social Security was first started, I'm sure some of it had good intentions. There was, 30 or 40 people or 50 people working for every person drawing. Now it's, 1 to 3?
Yep.
And 1 to 2. 1 to 2, okay, even worse. So, you know, that is not... It's not sustainable. An $18 trillion debt is not sustainable. I mean,
and it's what we talked about, what David has said. You get to a saturation point, and we need to figure out where to stop. You know,
exactly.
When there's water in the boat, you keep shoveling it out in a bucket, but you better plug the holes.
That's right.
Then you can finish bailing it out.
Again, if we can secure the border.
Apply the laws.
Deal with what's already here somehow. In other words, send them all back, or work out some type of citizenship, or ship some on back. Not necessarily citizenship. If they came here illegally, unless they go back and come through the process legally, they should never become citizens.
Right.
But, we need to deal with the situation here now. We need to shut it down. If they want to assimilate, great. More power to them.
Right.
And if they want to be contributors to society, by all means, more power to them. But to just open up the borders and let it be like a leaky boat, what's going to happen?
Well, playing to his leaky boats theme here, in the Southeast Asia, they have a minority group of Muslims from the
Indonesia?
Myanmar
Okay.
that are, they'd say, discriminated against by the Buddhists in Burma, Myanmar. And what happens is they were exiting that country because they felt they couldn't live there anymore. Well, they were on little boats, and they were landing in Thailand, they were landing in Indonesia, Malaysia, but the United States government got involved in this, and they went to the Thai government and said, "What's going on, Thailand? Why aren't you letting these people in your country?" Because the Thai Navy would meet these little boats. They would care for the medical needs. They would give them water and food and life jackets. And they would say, "Happy trails.
Keep paddling.
Keep going. You're not coming here. You're not a citizen. You're illegal. We will not allow you in our country." America pressured the Thai government. Now they have a few small camps. But after a few days or weeks, those people have to leave. And that's the problem. I mean, one world. I mean, yeah, we're all one world, and we try to help each other. But, like I say, if you come to my house, you knock on the front door.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
There you go.
So
That's it. All right. Okay. What kind of the last thing I want to talk about and bring up is what would we like to discuss on the next show? There's some topics and some other panelists that are going to be with us next recording to talk about the senior exemption on the education property tax. So looking forward to having some of those panelists here and bring some information and that type thing. So we look forward to talking about that topic. But Stephen, I'll start with you. What would you like us to have and talk about next time?
Maybe a recap of Jeep Fest. That's a big thing right now.
Got it on the list.
The local impact. If anybody's got a Jeep, if it's still in one piece or if it's in multiple pieces.
We'll take some pictures.
That's right.
Yeah, and maybe go around
We'll have an
and share
assembly
some
party.
pictures and some experiences. But Jeep Fest is on its fourth year?
I believe so.
Fourth year. Yeah. New venue.
New venue, a lot of different things. So I'm kind of apprehensive and excited all about the same thing at the same time. So we'll see how it goes.
Hope for another successful event. They've done phenomenal things for the community, for the different things that they contribute to.
Maybe you dive into the finances of it. We've got time. So.
Okay. All right, Bill, how about you?
Well, along with that, and also, we have the Marble Festival coming up.
First weekend
in October.
Yeah.
And that's, I would think a pretty significant economic impact for the county, and talk about that impact there.
Yeah, sounds good.
And maybe some ideas I'd love to see that grow more. I mean, you look at the surrounding counties, they all have festivals. 10, 15 years ago, Dawsonville Moonshine Festival there was nothing. I mean, it was nobody there. Now it seemed like I read or heard that 75,000 people go to it.
Wow.
Gold Rush speaks for itself. It's an absolute zoo. Apple Festival, especially the first weekend of Apple Festival here, from probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning right there at the Pickens Cherokee line, heading north.
Bumper to bumper.
Bumper to bumper.
Yeah.
And so, they're obviously, those communities are doing something right. 'Cause, in my travels, so talk about the Marble Festival. Oh, what's that? Where's that? I've never heard of that. So, what can we do to help put that on the map?
Sure. Yeah. David?
Well, for me, I'd like to talk about how we can expand on those two topics to get roadside vendors or open up stores that are here to bring the people in, because that bumper to bumper traffic, they're not pulling off a lot. They're just en route.
Yeah.
And we need somebody out there waving signs, say, come on in here and, have a soda, rest for a while. Traffic will be there when you get back.
That's right.
That's
That's true.
funny. I had a coworker.
That's a good point, Dave.
This past weekend, she was giving 2 weekends ago. She was giving her experience. I said, "So where did you go?" She said, "Blue Ridge," and I said, "Well, Jasper's not too bad either." And she said, "Oh, that place with the bargain barn."
That was the only red light she stopped at.
It was just kind of on her way to LJ and Blue Ridge and Hiawassee and so on and so forth. So
And it was something that I took my wife and daughter, went to Puerto Rico last year on a trip, and we just happened to be there Mother's Day weekend. We were there for a week, and on Mother's Day weekend, every little roadside hovel, tin shack, so they had flowers to people stopping to buy for their mother, and fresh fruit, and hanging baskets. There was so much commerce on every side of the highway on the entire island just that one day. And
on the next show, we're going to talk about impeding traffic on local interstates, right?
Yeah. So, but all good topics. I look forward to having all y'all back with us next week, and want to thank Matt and Ava for coordinating and making it all right.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt and Ava.
By the way, before we go, do you want to mention the info, the 411 on the gun giveaway that Pickens GOP is doing?
Yeah, we'll be announcing after the week of the 15th the GOP Second Amendment gun raffle. It will be putting together and announcing dates for the tickets to go on sale and that type thing. So
and want to mention the website again.
Yeah, the Pickens County GOP. And thanks again to
and our Facebook, right, David? Yeah, can't forget about that.
And
Always
WYYZ,
Facebook.
our hometown station.
And we'll hopefully get more social media insight with things like Periscope, maybe, and some Twitters and stuff like that to come. So.
All right. Thank y'all.